trained literally over 1 million business owners, entrepreneurs in 6 countries and how to run their businesses better. The company I represent is called LegallyMine. Everybody always asks me if I have some type of handout, brochure, that kind of is a guideline. The answer is yes, we do. So I know you're in the middle of eating. If you take 30 seconds and stop and grab your cell phones, please. If you'd like to have a guideline that follows along with this, all you have to do is go to the, they set all my equipment up and now it's not working. Great. There we go, okay. Oops, what did they do here? Oh, for heaven's sakes. I'll get it to you later. I don't want to kill time here. All right, we're just going to go. If you need the number later, I'm happy to give it to you. So it'll download it to your phone, so you can take it home with you. Okay? I apologize. They replaced all the equipment in here about an hour ago. We're going to cover 2 things today. Number 1, I'm going to show you how to put more money in your pocket, and I'm sure everybody's okay with that. Okay. Number 2, I'm going to show you how to create legal strategies that are going to keep what you earn, and here's why. We're called LegallyMine. We are the largest asset protection company in the United States today. We have over 17,000 clients nationwide. We focus on the medical business, so they're doctors, they're physicians assistants, surgeons, dentists, veterinarians, and some entrepreneurs as well. So what I'm going to show you how to do today is I'm going to show all of you how to protect your assets, business and personal, so they can never be taken from you in a lawsuit. I mean never. Okay. Now when I make that comment, I do have a few people that say that's pretty bold to make a comment like that. How good is your company at protecting people? In 20 years of being in business, we've never had one client go to court and lose any money, not once. Our clients don't go to court, and you wonder why today. We're very, very good at what we do because you are going to get sued eventually because you do have a target on your back with the industry that you have chosen. It's not if you're going to get sued, it's when you're going to get sued if you haven't already. And today there are literally 2 groups of people that want to take your money. Number 1 is the IRS, and number 2 are trial attorneys. Okay, so we're going to cover both. The IRS, 73% of Americans overpay their taxes, and here's why. On the front page of the IRS handbook, it says it is the responsibility of every American citizen to ensure they do not overpay their taxes. The IRS is bluntly telling you they will never help you pay less ever. If you overpay them every year, they're just going to take your money. Okay? So today I'm going to introduce you to 4 or 5 IRS code strategies. We use over 40 at our company. And we're going to show you how we save our clients literally tens of thousands of dollars every year in taxes. Our high-end clients at 6 figures. We do not do loopholes. We're not putting your money in a Cayman Island account or anything like that. These are laws that Congress has passed. We have 3 tax attorneys in our office that are also CPAs. They know the IRS codes and they know the cases behind them, and I will share that with you to try to save a lot of money because you're literally overpaying the IRS every year. Okay? Second group of people who wants to take your money, those would be trial attorneys. Trial attorneys have done an excellent job in this country is encouraging Americans to sue each other over anything and everything frivolous under the sun to get money. It's to the point where it's very ridiculous. In the United States, our country represents 5% of the population of the entire world. Do you know that little tiny 5% accounts for 90% of all the lawsuits in the world? There is no other country that comes close to suing people like we do in this country. It's out of control. Last year, over 100 million lawsuits were filed. That's 1 out of every 3 people. Unfortunately, you've all chosen a profession that puts you in a higher bracket to be sued. Like I said, you do have a target on your back, literally. Now, I get asked all the time, why are there so many lawsuits? It's because of these trial attorneys and how they've encouraged people. In USA Today, they had an article that said, what is the best way to get rich? The number 3 answer was sue people. Number 1 was win the lottery. That's how people think today. Number 2 was inheritance. But the third way was let's sue people. Now, why do people want to sue you? This is the way they think. Because you have more than I do, and I need it more than you do. People outside of this room will sue you because of your profession. They feel you make more money, you're more successful, they have the chance to take what you have, they're simply going to do it. So if you want to stay out of lawsuits, you have to understand how they work. And there are 2 pieces of this. Number 1 is the cause, and number 2 is the motivation. Now the cause, I'm going to be very blunt. You cannot control the cause. Things are going to happen. Somebody slips and falls in your office. Parking lots are a nightmare in front of your office. And sometimes, to be candid, It's gonna be you. It's gonna be you. You made a mistake, you're a human being, you might have goofed up. It happens every day. We cannot control the cause. The motivation though, that has to be controlled, and we can. So ladies and gentlemen, what do you think is the motivation for every lawsuit? Any idea? Yeah, money. Whose money? Yeah, yours. He's going right here. Yeah, you're right. Okay. So I'm gonna ask you all a question. It's very odd. It'll probably throw some of you back, but it's gonna prove a big point. How often do you think a trial attorney sues a homeless person?
No.
Yeah, exactly. Never. Why? Because they don't have any money and no assets. Okay? Why would I ask you that question? Listen close. Today I'm going to show all of you in the next 30 minutes of this how to become homeless in the eyes of a court. Now think about that. What if somebody were to sue you and your attorney could show them in 30 minutes that there is nothing to take from you? Nothing. There's no point suing my client, you can't touch anything. How many of you agree that probably stop that lawsuit dead in its tracks? So I'm going to teach you how to become homeless in the eyes of the court. I'll introduce 5 strategies to you here today. A couple basic things you need to know. You never want to own assets in your name. Anything of significant value should never be in your personal name because a judge will put it on the table when your practice gets sued. If you want to be protected, you must have the right entity for the proper asset. There are multiple entities today for different types of assets. I'll show those to you. You must have the correct state for maximum protection. Not all states are good. Okay, I'm assuming everybody's from around the country, correct? Anybody from here in New York? Handfuls of you. You live in one of the worst states to be protected in court for asset protection. You do. I'm being candid with you. You've got to know how to protect yourself. You have to have the right verbiage. Why? No matter what state you're from, your state legislators make the laws for your state. Now here's a little irony for you. Most state legislators, before they became a state legislator, take a wild guess what occupation they came from.
Lawyers.
Lawyers, just like in Congress. Most of them are lawyers. You're right, and lawyers tend to favor lawyers. So the laws are written with loopholes. Here's one of them. If you have an LLC for your practice, which I'm sure you all do, there's verbiage in your LLC that gives a judge a back door to garnish your wages when you go to court, and you probably don't even know it exists. And I'll show you how to avoid that and take care of that as well. Okay? So here's strategy number 1. I'll share 5 with you. This is called the Family Limited Partnership. Now this is not new. This was created over 100 years ago in the year 1916. It was created as a means for you to pass on your estate and everything to your heirs with very minimal tax consequences. That was the purpose, and it worked well. However, in the 1960s, there was a gentleman by the name of J. Mitten. He was an attorney, and he looked at this, and he said, I can actually use this to protect your assets, and here's how. You have a general partner and limited partners. You'll notice the general partner has 100% control in all the liability. The limited partners have no control and no liability, so he said, why don't we take your assets and divide them up like this? We put 98% of your assets under you as a limited partner because there's no liability. And we take 2% and put it underneath you for the general partner. Why? Because if somebody were to sue you back then, the most they could sue you for is 2% of your assets. Now think about that. Who in the world out there is going to sue you for 2% of what you're worth? Nobody. Unless your name's Bill Gates, right? No attorney is going to take on a case with only 2% on the table. It's not worth their time. They would never go to court. So he started setting people up like this, and this was not law. This was a theory this attorney was using. Well, sometimes his clients would get sued and they'd go to court. In the low courts, they would lose. He'd always lose in the low courts. However, he'd appeal them to the federal appeals level. They would overturn it, and he would win every single time at the next level. Case number 13 went to the 9th Circuit Court of Appeals, and J. Mitten lost. Well, at that point, he said, you know what? This is ridiculous. You and I have the right to protect what we work hard for. So this guy took on all the trial attorneys in this country, and he took them all to the Supreme Court in 1974, and he fought them in your behalf and my behalf. And the Supreme Court ruled unanimously. All 9 judges said, yes, you can have a family limited partnership, and you can use a limited partner to protect your assets. So this became a law. So what trial attorneys tried to do is make it tricky. Back in the 1960s, you could be the limited partner and the general partner. You could be both. Not anymore. You have to choose one. We recommend you become the limited partner, you, your spouse, you, and your partner, and here's why. Today, in all 50 states, you cannot sue limited partners in a family limited partnership. It's against the law. Okay? That means somebody else has to become the general partner for you. Well, how do we take care of that? This is easy and simple. We create a management company. It's a little LLC, and who controls that? You do. You, your spouse, and your partner do 50-50, so you're still controlling the 2%, you're just doing it through a company instead of an individual, gives you 100% control. So the questions I get asked is, okay, what do we put in here? What assets should we put in here? There are two types of assets that everybody has. You have safe assets and you have risky assets. Safe assets do not cause lawsuits, risky assets do, so I'll show you the difference. These are going to be your safe assets. Your bank accounts, your investment accounts, your retirement accounts, gold, silver, if you have valuables in your home, if you're into artwork, you might have a grand piano or something like that. All these things go in your family limited partnership underneath you as a limited partner, and here's why. You can't be sued for those, and 98% of that is covered because you're the only one that has the key to that vault. Okay? I'm going a little quick. Is everybody okay keeping up with me right now? You seem to be doing well. Okay. Last show of hands, let me see the power of having that family limited partnership to cover 98% of all those assets you have. Is that powerful? How many of you knew about this before you came here today? One person. Thank you. At least I got one. Okay. Here's what shocks me, and I'm being candid with you because we're here to help you. I have a room full of educated medical people, and nobody knew about this to protect all your safe assets. So here's assignment number one. You need to get this done, is get a family limited partnership. Because all your retirement accounts and everything, if you get sued, a judge will put them on the table. And if you lose your case, you could lose your retirement. That protects them. Now you got the risky assets too. This will be your office, land, rental properties. Maybe you have medical equipment, you have a vacation home. You might have a big motor home, so you might have expensive cars. These things are going to cause lawsuits. Some of you look like you're the age you have teenagers. Anything more scarier than a teenager behind the wheel of a car in New York? Yeah, because if they get in a wreck, guess who's getting sued? Especially if you got the word doctor in front of your name, you better have a good attorney, okay? So where do we put these? These go into a different entity, strategy number two. They go into the LLC, okay? I'm curious here, how many of you own your own practice as a doctor? How many own your own practice? Nobody in here owns their own medical practice?
No, they got.
How many of you are doctors that work for a hospital then? Oh, okay. Are you paid W-2 then instead of 1099?
Yep.
Okay. How many of you are physician assistants or nurses? Something in that range? Handful of you. Okay, good. That helps out. And how many of you in here are not going to raise your hand no matter what I ask you? Just kidding. Half you got the joke. You'll be on the way home. Okay, all right. I skipped something then, and I'm going to apologize to you. I didn't realize so many of you were paid W-2. All right, right here. That's your new best friend. If you are paid W-2, you are getting hammered in taxes every year. So how's this going to help you? If you're W-2, you cannot, by law, you can't write off things like your cell phone every month like I can because I'm 1099. You can't write off car expenses. You can't write off equipment, things like that. You can now because when you get a family limited partnership, this is an active LLC that's controlling the 2%. And because it's run through a family limited partnership, instead of just paying your cell phone bill, let's say it's $1,000 a year, you take that $1,000, you put it in this LLC, and you let the LLC pay the phone bill, because that can be done through an LLC as 1099. So there's a whole bunch of things that you can now write off through that LLC that you couldn't before. Well, this isn't making any money, so that means it's going to show a loss every year. Good for you. Because if you're paying this much in tax every year, and that LLC shows it whatever, an $8,000, $10,000, $15,000 loss, that offsets your tax as a W-2, and you pay less the rest of your life now. So I'm glad you told me about your W-2 status. Thank you. Okay. All right, back to this LLC. LLCs, 1987. Do you know the first one was created in Wyoming? Most people never heard of this. It was created by 3 state legislators, by the way, who all used to be attorneys like we talked about earlier. And they wanted to find something that would help you protect all your other assets that I showed you. And they had a gentleman help them create this, and that was Jay Midden, the guy that fought the Supreme Court, because they all used to work with Jay's attorneys. So Wyoming, they created the first one in 3 states. 3 years later, all 50 states have an LLC. Today, there are over 100 countries that use LLCs. This is by far and wide the most popular entity used anywhere. It serves one purpose. It has to protect your assets. There's no other reason to have an LLC other than asset protection. But here's the problem. Most people out here do not understand how to use the proper LLC, and they misuse them every day. Because today there's not one LLC like there was in 1987. Today you have LLCs, you have single member LLCs, dual member LLCs, you have S-Series LLCs, mothership LLCs. There are LLCs for equipment, there's LLCs for your house, there's LLCs for your practice. You set up the wrong LLC for the wrong asset, there are penalties and tax consequences. So you really have to be educated. Here's another thing where people make mistakes. How do you get taxed when you have an LLC? 4 ways. C Corp, S Corp, partnership, sole proprietorship. And this is how I know that a lot of people don't understand this. Every day someone says this to me, John, I don't have an LLC. I have an S Corp. An S Corp is an LLC. It's just the way you're being taxed, okay? So people they misuse these all the time, but it's meant to protect you. And here's how it protects you. It's called the charging order. It's passed in all 50 states. It's a set of rules a judge has to follow in court in case there's a judgment and you lose. Other than that, it creates what's called the corporate shield or the corporate veil. This is why people use LLCs. However, they misuse them all the time. Let's say this is your house. There's your medical office. You have your medical equipment. There's a fire in the office. Your building just caught fire and it burns the building next door and 2 people got hurt and are on the way to the hospital. You think you have a lawsuit coming your way? 3 or 4. You'll get sued by a whole bunch of people right now. But here's the key. They have to sue whoever owns that office building. That's who they have to sue because that's where the fire started. Well, who owns the office building? Not you. Your LLC owns it. You with me so far? Okay, look at the screen though. What else is in this LLC beside your office building? All your equipment and the home you live in. Guess what? These are all subject to that lawsuit now because you lumped them together under one roof, which means a lawsuit against your building, they can now drag in your house, your medical equipment, and everything else. And that is a big no-no. We never, ever, ever lump high-end assets together because you don't want to risk your home and your equipment because of your office. What if somebody sues you because they tripped and fell on your driveway? Well, your house is getting sued now, but now your business and your equipment are on the table because somebody trips and falls. So what do? What the big companies do? We separate them. We take all high-end assets, we put them in separate LLCs because now by law they are separate companies. So when there's a fire in that office, yes, they still have to sue number 2, but they cannot come after your home or your medical equipment because by law they are separate companies. The legal term is called outside assets. Now they cannot be touched. And the reason we set up our clients this way is because this is what all the big companies do in this country and most people don't understand this. So, fast example. Has everybody here been to Disneyland or Disney World at least once in your life? Has anybody in this room never been? 2 of you. 3 of you? Okay, Merry Christmas, I'm taking you, let's go. All right, okay. Really? Okay. Feel bad for people that never, anyway. You go to Disneyland, you know how it works, right? You hand them $200, you get a ticket, you walk in the door, and what does the average American do? They run to their favorite ride before the lines get long. That's what we all do. My favorite ride is the Matterhorn. I grew up in LA, so I love the Matterhorn. As you know, it's a rough ride. So let's say that somebody gets on the Matterhorn and it jerks them really bad and they hurt their back and they get off the ride and they cannot walk. They're seriously injured. Well, what do you think they're going to do? Sue Disney. So here's what happens. They call Disneyland, they get an attorney, and they say, I'm suing you, my client hurt their back. You know what Disney's going to say? Number 1, prove they were here. You know how many millions of people go through Disney? They get this stuff every day. Well, was your client really here? Well, let's find out. Send us their picture, what time and day. Because Disneyland has tens of thousands of cameras on property, they will verify you were on the ride. And then they'll see, oh yeah, we see your client 2 o'clock on Tuesday. There they are. Yeah, we see them crawling on the ground. It looks like they're hurt. What do you want from Disneyland? We are suing you for millions of dollars, because that's what all these trial attorneys do. Well, Disney's going to turn around and say this to your attorney. Go ahead and sue us. You got hurt on the Matterhorn? We don't own the Matterhorn. So you can sue Disney, but we don't own that. Let's go ahead. Now, a lot of you are looking at me like, what are you talking about? I'm at Disneyland. What do you mean they don't own the Matterhorn? Disneyland does not own the Matterhorn. Well, who in the world owns it then? Matterhorn, LLC. How many of you knew that Disneyland puts every single ride into a separate LLC? Every restaurant, every vendor. Now here's why. This is part of making you homeless right now. How much money does the Matterhorn collect every day? 0. You pay Disney at the front door. None of the rides collect money, so if you sue that ride, there's no money for you. What are you going to go after now? The assets of the corporation? Okay, what are the assets of the Matterhorn? The Matterhorn. What are they gonna give you? The car you were riding in? They'll take it apart and ship it to your house if you really want it. You see my point? Nothing to take. When there's nothing to take, there's no lawsuit. Now, does Disneyland have liability insurance? Of course they do. So they pay for some of these medical bills, but guess what you and I can never do in a million years? You cannot touch their $300 billion empire because of what I just showed you. Disney is homeless in the eyes of the court, okay? Walmart does the same thing, folks. So the question is, if they're doing it, why aren't you doing it? You probably didn't know about it. No one's ever taught this to you. Trial attorneys don't want you to, they're gonna try to scare you. They'll intimidate you, they're good at it. And it can get pricey. When you start separating all your assets into multiple LLCs and getting a family limited partnership and go to these big asset law firms, you can rack up a big bill, 10, 20, 30, 40 grand. It happens all the time, so most Americans won't do it. Then they get sued and they're going, I wish I had done it, okay? So, here's the bad part. Your state legislators have made life a little ugly for you, especially in New York, California, these big states. A judge can pierce the corporate veil in a closely held corporation and they can dissolve it. So here's what happens in 47 states today if you get sued. The judge is gonna ask you, you're being sued, your practice. Is it a closely held corporation? If you don't know what that means, here's the answer. Do you have more than 100 shareholders in your corporation? None of you do. It's you and your spouse, you and your partner. There's 2 or 3 of you probably. That's closely held. The judge says, oh, so it's basically you as a practice. So what does that mean to you now? Everything in your personal name is on the table because here's what the judge will tell you. I'm holding you personally responsible for the lawsuit against your practice. Everything in your personal name is on the table. So think about what you have in your personal name right now. Okay? Let's do a quick survey if you don't mind. Honestly, sincerely, I want to know this. By a show of hands, how many of you own your own home? Keep them up high, please. Keep your hands up if your home is in your personal name, your name, your spouse's name. Same hands. What's rule number 1? I just taught you 10 minutes ago. Never put anything of significant value in your personal name. Now you know why. Your house is on the table against a lawsuit against your LLC. You could lose your home if you lose in court. It's got to be protected. Judges can also dissolve your LLCs. Maybe you say, hey, I have 6 LLCs. I've separated my stuff, John. You know, the judges will do this. Started out in California. They do it here in New York. They do it in my state of Utah. We'll just dissolve them and say, well, you're being sued. Everything in your LLCs is in your personal name till this case is settled. If you lose, it's going to get liquidated. If you don't, we'll put it back. Those 2 things should scare you to death because it means your LLC ain't worth much anymore because of your state legislators. You can thank them. So here's the problem. 47 states, they'll dissolve your LLCs, take your assets, foreclose your membership. The charging order that's supposed to protect you has been weakened in the last 20 years. Well, there's only 3 states that are worth anything. Number 1 is Wyoming, where this was created. Number 2 is Delaware. I'm sure you've all heard of Delaware as an asset. Yeah, they're really good. If you look back at your visa, I'll bet it says Delaware, okay? There's 1 state that's better than the rest, and this one's gonna shock you. Alaska. Yeah, look at the screen, folks. We put all of our clients into an Alaska holding company, and here's why. In Alaska, they will not dissolve your LLC. They won't let any of your assets be taken out of it, and they can't touch your membership of your corporation. The charging order is strong the way it should be, as it was in 1987. So how does this protect you? Here you go. Here's all your LLCs. You can live in New York, wherever you live. There's one for your home, you got one for your practice, you got one for the business building, there's your medical equipment. Separating them like Disneyland. We put everything under one Alaska holding company, and here's the law. It's called the law of reciprocity. Whatever state you get sued in, that state has to follow the laws of the state where your assets are eventually owned. So you live in New York, you have your LLCs here, because you're here. But where are they eventually owned now? Alaska. New York has to follow Alaska law. What does Alaska law say? You can't have anything. Have a nice day. How many of you know about the Alaska holding company before this class? How many see the benefit and power of having one little holding company to protect what you have? This is why our 17,000 clients don't go to court. This stops attorneys dead in their tracks. Alaska won't let you touch anything. You want to sue my client, go ahead. The judge is going to look at you like you're an idiot on court day. And they tell their client, we can't touch them. Well, John, what if they want to come after my money? Back up 10 minutes. Where's your money now? In your family limited partnership. Under you as a limited partner, 98% of that can't be touched. Okay? All right, so trial attorneys want to come after you. and they've had some laws passed that give judges a back door. I told you about it earlier. It's called a pro rata distribution clause that awards the judge financial control. It allows them to garnish your wages. So if you end up going to court and a judge says, you know what, you're guilty, you owe the plaintiff $1 million. Well, now the judge has got to find the $1 million. So what are they usually going to do? Just take apart your assets and your LLCs. But with our clients, they can't touch them. Well, then they're going to go after your retirement accounts then. Well, guess our clients, they can't touch them. They're in the family limited partnership. So the judge has one more ace in the hole. I'll garnish your wages as a judge. So they take a look at you and go, hey, you've been a doctor for years. You're making $400,000 or $500,000 take home every year. So here's what I'm going to do. I just awarded $1 million to the plaintiff. I'll let you keep $150,000. Everything above and beyond that will go to the plaintiff until you've paid this off. Court adjourned. So the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, depending on your judgment, you're basically working to pay off a court case you lost because you didn't know of language in your LLC. So how do we reverse this? At our company, what we do is we control the verbiage. We change what your state legislators have put in there because you can. We put non-pro rata language. We block the judge because our language says only this general partner, you, can order a distribution. So what does that mean? You go to court, you lose. The judge says I'm awarding them $1 million. Well, the attorney says, sorry, judge, you think you can take their money because you're used to everybody in town having pro rata language. Our client has non-pro rata language. The judge, read the document. They read the document, the judge is like, I can't make you pay them now. You're the only one that can authorize the $1 million to come out of your account. So do you want to pay somebody $1 million? No, so guess what? The person that sued you, they sued, they won, they're not getting paid because you're not ordering the distribution out of your LLC. Okay? Making sense so far? You see why our clients don't go to court, you guys? Nothing to take. There's just nothing to take. So what happens here is what are we basically doing? Taking the semantics out of all this so it favors you, not the court, not the judge. We use legal laws in different states that are powerful to protect everything you're working hard for. As a result, our doctors tell us in the eyes of the law, I'm penniless. That's from Dr. Ernest Broman. He's a pain management client of ours, one of our many. So what do you do now? Well, next thing is you want to make sure everything gets passed on the right way. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes, maybe 3. This is on estate planning. 63% of Americans don't have anything done. And most of them have it done incorrectly. Okay? So we recommend that you get what's called a family revocable trust. Okay? There are different types of trusts. There's irrevocable and revocable. We do not recommend an irrevocable in most cases, and here's why. Whatever decisions you make today are locked up forever. They cannot be modified. If you make a decision today at your age, in 20 years you want to change it, you can't touch it. A judge will not break these. Okay? So you got to be careful with them. Now, a revocable trust, you can change anytime you want to. 20 years from now, you folks are young, your life's going to be very different. You may want to change things, okay? Life happens. And so you can change it, it can be modified. Now, why do we recommend a trust? Here's the big reason. By a show of hands, how many of you have a will in place? Anybody have a will? About 6, 8 of you. Okay, I want to be fair to you. It's better than nothing. It's better than having nothing, but here's the bottom line with a will today in 47 states. They're weak, and they're disputable by law. Do you know that your will can be disputed before you even pass away? So here's a fast example. I have 5 children, okay? Some of you are going, what? If I pass away, well, let's just say when I pass away, is there a mathematical chance that one of my children may not like what I'm leaving them in the will? You think so?
Yep.
Sure there is. And I know what kid it is, by the way. I know all those kids well, okay? No, seriously, have you ever heard of somebody that's not talking to their siblings anymore because they fought over a will? Go look up the Aretha Franklin case that's been going on for 7 years, okay? And so what happens is, one of my kids sues the estate, now my other kids have to get an attorney to fight their sibling, and where does this go? Probate court. And in New York, you're stuck for 2 to 3 years, as you are in most states. Here's what happens to all your money. You're gonna leave this much to your kids, right? It gets chopped away and eaten up in probate court. They'll take 30, 40% of it by the time they're done. Your family ends up with less because you had a will that is disputable, okay? When it's in a family revocable trust, the minute you die, it becomes irrevocable. It avoids the courts. It cannot be touched. So my one child can be as angry as they want to because I have a revocable trust. And at that point, it doesn't matter because I'm dead. I don't care. It's done the way I want it to be done. And the siblings aren't fighting with each other. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay. Also, your LLCs, your Alaska holding company, your family limited partnership, they can all go underneath that trust, and here's the benefit. When you pass away, today you can pass up to $5 million down to your kids. They pay no tax on the first $5 million. If you and your partner or spouse happen to pass away simultaneously in a car accident, that doubles to $10 million. So it's a great way to pass down what you've worked hard for without them getting hammered by taxes by the government. Okay? All right, let's get into these taxes really quick for the last 10 minutes here. The quickest, fastest way, folks, to save money is to have an S corporation. Okay, it's because of your FICA tax. If you have something besides an S corp, you pay 7.5% as the corporation and 7.5% to yourself, and you pay yourself. That's 15% in FICA tax. You pay yourself $200,000 a year, you're paying $30,000. When you do it through an S corp, you pay half yourself W-2, half distributions. You don't have to pay the FICA tax on the distributions up to about $500,000. So on a $200,000 example, I just saved you $15,000 in taxes. So an S corp is the quickest, fastest way to not pay the IRS a bunch of money. Okay. Number 2, income shifting for college and minors. How many of you have children 17 years and under? Anybody have the kids? Okay. They should be working for your LLC. You can pay each child $13,800 a year. They do not have to file a tax return or pay taxes on the money. Each kid that works for your LLC is a tax write-off for your LLC. So you have 2 or 3 kids and they're working for your business, that's $10,000 to $15,000. You did not pay the IRS next year. Okay? Now some of you might have children that are older in college. I get it. They're gonna need more than $13,000. That ain't gonna do much, especially out here in New York. You may pay them $30,000, $40,000 to work for your LLC. They're gonna have to pay their own taxes. However, they're gonna pay their tax rate, not yours. And so you're still gonna come way out ahead on doing this. Kids should be working for you. 280 AG, renting your home. Okay, this is something you can do through your little corporation, your family limited partnership, for those of you that are W-2, by the way. You know that by law, you can rent out your home 14 days a year to your LLC to hold business meetings. It's called 280 AG. Now, it must be for legitimate business purposes. You cannot do it for your child's birthday party, okay? Business only. 14 days a year, your LLC pays you personally to rent your house, okay? So how much do you charge? Well, that's different for all of you. It's based upon where you live. Part of it's based on your income, and part of it's based on the value of your home. I'll tell you the national average, $2,000 every time. So your LLC rents your home out 14 days a year, they pay you $2,000 every time. That means your LLC just paid you $28,000. That $28,000 is a tax write-off for your LLC, depending on your tax bracket. That's just saved you another $10,000, $12,000 in taxes, okay? Now here's something that's really cool about 280 AG, because this came from the Olympics in 1984 in Los Angeles. They didn't have enough hotel space, so they let Californians rent their homes out for 14 days for whatever they wanted, and they told them, you do not have to pay any taxes on the money you collect for that 14 days because you're doing us a favor. That law still applies. Here's what it means. The $28,000 your LLC pays you, you don't have to pay any taxes on that $28,000 if you're doing the $2,000. That's a tax-free bonus from your LLC to you, money in your pocket. Okay? Now you just learned that. How many of you like me better than you did 2 minutes ago? Pretty good. Now, some of you may be able to rent your home for more. I don't know how much money you make. Some of you might be able to do this for 4 or 5. Our top doctors are doing this for 8 to 10 grand a month. So you can double and triple that amount depending on how much money you make and where your house is located, folks. But the average is $2,000 every day. You should be renting your home 14 days a year. And by the way, even if you don't own your home, you know, by IRS law, even if you're renting your home, you can still rent that house to your LLC. You don't even have to own your home. You can be renting the home you live in and still do that by law. It's pretty sweet. I don't have time to go through the captive insurance plan. I want to show you the QBI really quick. If you're a licensed professional, which you are, it can give you a 20% income deduction. It has to go through an S corp, and your income must be less than $465 a year net. So some of you probably make too much money for this one. Some of you may be under this, so I'll share it quickly. You and your spouse, your partner, your net income, if it's below $4,000, you know that there's 7 different IRS forms we fill out for our clients. They give you an extra 20% deduction on your taxes off the bat because of what you do for a living. Okay? So I'll give you a mathematical example. You make $1 million, you go to your CPA, they do all your deductions, they say you made $400,000 last year, you owe the IRS $120,000 in taxes, go pay the IRS. We look at our clients right here and we say, look, you're under the 465 and you're a licensed professional, let's fill out 7 IRS documents and give you that 20%. And our tax attorneys fill them out and we send them to your CPA. By the way, side note, We're not doing your taxes. We do not replace your CPA. I don't want you to think we're doing that. We're just teaching you tax strategies to save money, okay? So we send these to your CPA and we show, here's how you file this with your taxes next year. It gives you a 20% deduction, so watch how this changes the ballgame. You started $1 million, right? Now you take 20% off the bat. That's 200 grand. So now you're starting at 800 on $1 million. Then you do all your deductions. You're not gonna make 400 grand. It's gonna show you made about 225. So now you're paying taxes on 225 instead of 400 because of one thing you qualified for that you did not know about. Okay? How many of you knew about that before the class? Why is your CPA not teaching you the things you're learning here today? You better ask them why. Because it's probably time to look for a new CPA, folks. They're costing you money. And you wanna know why? Here's a CPA. Here's a tax attorney. There's a major difference here, folks. Tax attorneys take IRS code classes. In accounting, I majored in accounting. We didn't have to take IRS code classes. We learned how to crunch numbers and do books. There's a big difference. So if your CPA has questions and you're a client, we recommend you do a 3-way call. Get them on the phone with one of the tax attorneys. We educate them every week to help save you guys money. All right, last but not least, and I gotta wrap this up. Professional R&D tax credits. This was TEFRA in 1981. Congress passed a law that only pharmaceutical companies could get research and development tax credits so they can keep producing medicines to prescribe to people. They had to keep repassing it. They made it permanent law in 2015. One of the stipulations is it had to be available to all companies and businesses. That means everybody that has an LLC in here. So here's how this works. Here's the definition of a tax credit. Credits refer to the time invested in training and implementation of products and services, processes. It equals credits. It's the time invested in training and implementation of products and processes. What have you been doing here all day today and yesterday and tomorrow? This. How many of you knew that all your CE hours you're getting this weekend count as tax credits for your LLC? You didn't know you're getting paid to be here, did you? You do now. Because these tax credits, folks, here's how this works. Every tax credit you earn, guess how much you get for each tax credit? Whatever it is you make an hour. And I don't know what you make an hour. You might make $100 an hour, you might make $500, I don't know, okay? These are not deductions, they're a dollar for dollar exchange. So whatever hours you get here this weekend, let's just say it's 15, and you're making $200 an hour, you just earned $3,000 in tax credits for this year. How many times are you doing stuff like this all year long? You may end up with 10, 20, 30, 40 different research and development tax credits. And what happens is whatever you owe in taxes at the end of the year, let's say it's 50 grand to the IRS, then we say, well, how many tax credits did you earn this year? Well, I got 42 hours and I make $300 an hour. That's about $13,000 in tax credits. So instead of paying the IRS 50 grand, you now subtract 13 grand in credits, you pay them 37 instead. A lot of our clients do so much R&D that we zero them out and they pay no taxes every year. Some of them have leftover credits. If you have leftover credits, ask the IRS for a refund, or you can apply it to the next year because you can roll these over for 3 years if you have extra, folks. I got good news for you. If you've never done research and development credits before and you become a client of LegallyMine, by law, we can go back and look at your tax returns for the past 3 years, and we can accumulate how many R&D credits you should have claimed the last 3 years, take all 3 years together in one lump sum, and apply them to the end of 2023 for next year for you. What are you guys going to do to your IRS tax refund thing? Big time. So you definitely want to come talk to us, folks. All right, I said I'd show you how to put more money in your pocket. I did. I said I'd show you to create legal strategies to make you homeless. We did. And so here's the issue people have, is getting this done. If you were to do everything I showed you how to do today, you'd have to go to 3 different attorneys. A tax attorney, an estate attorney, and an asset protection attorney. Who in the world is going to do that? Most people don't. They don't have the time. And the issue is, it's going to cost you 25 to 45 grand to do this with all these attorneys, okay? That's a lot of money. Here's the bad news. Will you shut the door, please?
They request that we leave it open.
Well, tell them they're too loud. Either they can be quiet or they need to shut the door. These folks need to hear this. You're still not protected, okay? Why? Because they got the bad language in your LLCs. Attorneys just use the state's templates, folks. They don't go in and do what we do and change it to non-pro rata. But see, people spend all that money and they still go to the court and have a judge garnish their wages at the end of the day. After they did that, that's frustrating. We do everything under one roof. So we make it simple and easy. We have 8 attorneys in the office and 15 paralegals to help you, okay? Now here's what we offer. Our anytime price is $13,800. a fraction of what they do because we do it under one roof. So you can do this anytime you want to with our company. Okay, open door policy on this. There's one big benefit to being here today. I have 30 of you in a room for 1 hour. 40 minutes, I've been going 39 minutes. Okay? You have any idea what this does for you and us? You are saving us a ton of money today because we did not have to pay commissions. We did not have to do tens of thousands of dollars in advertising. We bought a little booth and we bought you lunch. And I have qualified people in front of me. You're saving our company a ton of money. So anytime I do this with these associations, we offer a group discount to everybody. Okay? Oops, sorry. Write this down or put it in your phone somewhere. Okay? It's $8,400 at the event. So our regular price does not apply here. It's $8,400. You'll save over $5,000 getting a Rosa client here today with me, with Derek, Destiny. I'll be here tomorrow until about 1 o'clock. I think it's when you guys are done. It's good at the event, so write down $8,400, okay? Now I will show you the breakdown on this, okay? This is how we normally break it down for clients. The majority of that goes to creating your entities, all your LLCs, your trust, your holding company. The rest of it is for our first year retainer because there's a lot of work to do the first year. So for 1 full year, this $8,400 gives you access to all the attorneys in the company, okay? We also cover a few other things that are very helpful. We can keep you off the NPD list. If someone tries to ruin your reputation by putting you on that list, we can keep you off the list legally so it never appears. Obviously, it has to be done before you get sued, okay? If you have to deal with HIPAA and OSHA, we do those services for you for free. Please don't pay somebody to do this. We do them, they're included with our services. All the HIPAA, make sure you're good, and the OSHA, all right? We offer you one other thing too. Today, you guys are gonna be investing $8,400 for the services. We back this up in writing, by the way. You'll get a certificate signed by our CEO, okay? It's inside your client enrollment folder. It looks like this. Jared and Destiny will hand it to you, and you're gonna have this certificate, and this is what it says. You invest $8,400 for all the services. If we can't save you at least an additional $8,400 on your taxes next year, we write you a check for the difference, which means this pays for itself its first year. Which means basically this program costs our clients nothing after the first year because of all the money we save them in taxes. Because folks, the bottom line is, okay, here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna pay $8,400 no matter what this year. You are. You're overpaying your taxes, so you can either invest it here and take care of all this and be done and sleep at night, or you can hand the IRS $8,400 of your taxes in March, because you will. You know you will. But we're trying to help you and make it simple and easy, so we'll back that up. I don't have time to show you that. This, what you will need to get is this form right here. You grab this from Destiny, Jared, or myself. You fill it out, you take care of the $8,400, whatever way you want to, and we will get you your packet and get your first phone call set up. It's going to take 3 or 4 phone calls over 2 to 3 months to get all this done. Now at this point, I am finished. I got 30 seconds. I have 3 groups of people in here. There's only 3. There's a lot of you in here that know you need to get it done. You've been talking about protecting your assets, getting your estate done, and obviously you want to save money on taxes. You know, like, yeah, I need to get this done. For those of you that are in that position, see Garrett, Jared, and Destiny here at the booth, and they'll get you enrolled, and you're done. It takes 3 minutes to get you enrolled. It's super fast. Group number 2, some of you are going, my unique situation might be different. John, I want to talk to you and ask you some questions, and some people don't like to talk in front of the group. I get that. So here's what I'm also going to do. I'm setting up consultations with myself for 10 minutes. Jared has a sheet out there anywhere from now until 5 o'clock today, 8 o'clock to 1 o'clock tomorrow. If you want to chat with me for 10 minutes, I will pull you aside in private so no one hears your personal business, and I'll give you a consultation for 10 quick minutes on this. I'm not going to talk about a divorce lawsuit or anything you're having. It's this, okay? But some people need that, and I'm happy to spend that time with you. That's why I'm here, okay? Third group, some people are like, you know what? I don't think I'm very risky. I think I'm fine. Well, I just say good luck, then I hope you don't get sued. All right? So folks, thanks for being with us. If you're ready to go see Jared and Destiny. If you want to get on the consultation time, they have those as well out of the booth. And we appreciate your time today. Enjoy the rest of your conference. I hope you guys learned a lot, okay? Thank you, everybody.